Welcome to Manhwa Recaps, spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. The manhwa starts off by introducing us to a lab. We see people running down a corridor and a man kicks open a door. His name is Hong Shokyoung. One of his team members yell, telling him that there are kids inside. We see glass shattering as Hunter Hong asks the kids if they are alright. He smiles warmly, saying they can come out now. He picks up one of the kids asking if he's hurt anywhere. The kid looks over to see one of the scientists on the floor, with a voice full of content. He says the chief got what he deserved, begging for his life on the floor suits him. Hong asks the kid what his name is. The kid thinks for a second, asking what he needs to do to make this man mad, so he tells him that his name is number 12. Hong looks slightly annoyed, asking if that's really his name, and then sets number 12 back down, then kicks the chief in the stomach, while yelling at him, and then continues beating the hell out of him. 12 admires the power, saying it's one that cannot be looked down on. We hear a voice yelling at Hong to stop. He nervously asks the inspector what brings her here. Gassed out, she says that she knew he'd be doing something crazy like this again, and to let the man go. She sighs, saying she appreciates his help, but he makes things harder when he acts like this. 12 asks her if she is his boss. She says no, but she is the one who scolds him when he does something bad. 12 says that's what a boss is, isn't it? And tells her how the lab chief always scolds the other members. And how he hates the kids. She angrily looks over, saying that she'll make sure to scold the bad man. 12 says she looks weak, asking if she is a hunter. She says no, and that she isn't strong, but he shouldn't judge a book by its cover. And that there are plenty of ways to scold someone other than beating them up, just like she did Hunter Hong. Hong catches a stray from her. Then 12 asks her what he has to do to become like her. She pats his head, saying that he needs to study hard and pass an exam. And then make his way up the corporate ladder. 12 is amazed by the overwhelming power that hunters display. And the power of somebody that rules them. This moment shaped his life. We get a 19-year time skip and are taken to the ability management agency ABBA. We see an older version of 12 telling people about dungeons reaching a higher threat level. But everyone looks bored and they're not paying attention to him at all. He says even if they're low-ranked dungeons, if the interior is unstable, the threat level will rise. He tells them to wake up and listen so they aren't lost when they get there. The hunters sit up. He continues telling them that Team 2 will be in charge of the B2 ranked dungeon and asks if there's any complaints. A woman says no. He says Team 1 can take the Tian dungeon. Teams 3 and 4 are resting because they just went into a dungeon recently. And that another guild will take care of the mountain dungeon. He tells them that they've prepared the equipment, so double check that nothing is missing. He looks at his watch, asking if they have any further questions, but nobody says a damn word. He says thought so and tells them to get lunch and tells Team 2 to get on standby. As everybody goes to leave, he sees one of the hunters, Yujun, is not moving, asking her what's wrong. She asks if he remembers the dungeon she told him about. He asks if she's talking about the one inside of Bangyi-dong, saying it was only a D6 ranked dungeon and that they only send people on raids once they reach level 2. She tells him that she has a bad feeling about it, and he sighs, saying that if they close dungeons based off feelings they would get railed by the media and she shouldn't abuse her powers because she's an S-rank hunter. She barks back, saying that he's abusing his power, calling him a Nepo baby. He asks her if she's ever seen a more capable and skilled Nepo baby. She claps back, saying that she would have fired him a long time ago if he wasn't so damn good at his job. He jokingly says that he hopes she doesn't hit him. She shifts to a serious tone, saying that she really feels bad about this dungeon. He tells her that it's too bad that he's no longer on business hours and not to contact him. Then closes the door, laughing, saying that she couldn't contact him anyways if she's inside of the dungeon. She seems really happy. We learn that 12's real name is Wu Vihai, J for short. It jumps to 2 days later inside of Busan, and some women are asking about a watch. Jay says that it is a masterpiece created by the Mana Research Lab, but it's still in the testing phase, so there are only 2 in the entire world. The girls say he must be a great hunter then. He says he has a license, but nah, he works at ABBA. He tells them that he is a direct affiliate of the agency director. They say that they recognize the director, saying that he's talking about Hunter Hong. Jay says that it's embarrassing to say, but he is his father. They are surprised, but he tells them that his adoptive father. And how he was in an accident when he was a child and lost his parents. And that Hong saved him and adopted him, so he's been working hard to repay that debt. Then he laughs while telling them not to think of him as a Nepo baby, as he's worked hard for his position. They say of course, since Hong is known to be fair. Jay sips his drink, saying that was a complete lie. And he's glad that he has a hunter's license to use it like this. One of the girls asks him why he came here, and he says that he is on vacation to celebrate his promotion. He didn't want to, but was forced to take time off. One of the girls says it's never good to be working all the time, and they're also here on vacation. He asks if he's getting in the way, and they say no, then ask if he can show them what he did earlier. He stretches his hand out and they ask what it is called. He calls it the hunter. I am not reading all of that. It's called a mana watch. They say that it's not just a simple watch, asking how he uses it. He says that it recognizes mana patterns, so only he can use it, and then opens up a status window from it, which shows the dungeon's threat levels. One of the girls is confused, asking Jay why one of the dungeon's threat levels are suddenly climbing. The blue status window shifts to red to show that the dungeon inside of Bangidong is at a threat level of 0. They then get alerts on their phone saying that there is a dungeon break. And they begin to panic. Jay gets a call on his phone and someone's telling him that it's bad. He says he saw asking about the Bangidong dungeon. Jay says he doesn't think it'll be bad since it's just a D rank dungeon. But the person on the phone tells him that it's not a D rank, as half of the district was already wiped out right after it breaking. Jay's heart sinks as he is full of disbelief. The person on the phone says that Hong is on his way right now. Jay tells the person to calm down and he'll be on his way, saying to send a helicopter for him. They say alright and to please hurry. It jumps to him inside of the helicopter and he says there's no way half of the district would be gone. But it should be fine by the time he gets there as Hong is going. He sighs, saying just when he started his vacation, and then his watch gives off a notification and he wonders why it's going off. The helicopter pilot then tells him that there's something wrong and to look below, as we see monsters all outside. There's some Tentai monsters, weird eyeball dudes and a bunch of goblins. Then a new notification appears. As every dungeon in the nation has broke open. Jay realizes that they're screwed. He gets more alerts on his phone saying that the dungeon breaks aren't happening only in Korea but worldwide. And that the hunters who went on the raid with Hong have not been heard from. Jay realizes that they won't be able to return to Busan, so they should fly around and look for survivors. Then it jumps to him smacking a wolf across its face and then stabbing it in the head. We see that there are multiple bodies strung out along the road behind him. He frantically opens his status window on the watch to check on Hong, but it says that his vitals cannot be tracked. He starts to have feelings of panic, wondering if Hong is really dead, saying that there's no way. Jay says that he just wanted a simple future. He wanted to push all the annoying tasks onto others and live a comfortable life. He struggled a ton to achieve this. Yet now it's all ruined, as he desperately searches for a survivor. As he's walking, he hears coughing from behind and turns around. And we see a June who he calls Auntie, and she says she told him not to call him that while holding onto her stomach as she's bleeding out. He asks her what happened here and she says that the centipede that came out of the Bangidong dungeon caused all this. He pops the cork off of a potion and she says, that pricey potion won't work here. He tells her that he won't know until he tries and starts pouring it on her. She says that she warned him, but he ignored her hunter instinct. He says there's nothing less trustworthy than a hunter's instinct, and she laughs, saying he's not wrong. He throws the empty potion away. She tells him that she's done for, reaching into her pocket, and then pulls out a dog tag saying it belongs to Hong. Saying surely he knows that he's dead. She brought it just in case, but she's glad she did. He asks why she's glad. She replies saying that as his son he should hold on to it. He tells her that he's not even his real son, and she says that he should at least give him a proper funeral. He says okay, but tells her that he doesn't want to give her one too, so don't die. She goes to ask why he's always joking around, but she can see that he has a serious expression on his face, as he sadly asks her not to die. We see her hand trembling and she says that she can't control it. She's lucky to have lived this long. She looks off to the side, calling out to him, asking if he remembers when he used to follow her around and call her big sister, saying how he used to be so cute back then. But now he's just a brat. She tries to tell him to look behind for her sword, but he tells her to shut up, saying that he has more potions. He starts to cry, saying he'll call her big sis again, so please just shut up. She tells him that she knows he's using a spear because of Hong, but it's still good to take her sword. Then she musters up all of her energy and smiles, telling him to make it out alive. And then her body goes limp in front of Jay. He closes her eyes, asking how he's meant to survive in this world. Then stands up, picking her sword up off the floor. And in a broken voice says that he hates this. At the Ability Management Agency, we see a giant centipede's corpse. Jay walks up, saying that he expected this. And how being a hunter is a very dangerous job. But it's a job for the strong, saying it's crazy to see how many corpses there are here just to kill one centipede. Even the strongest hunter died, leaving nothing behind but a dog tag. He gets lost in thought, wondering what to do now. He wonders if he should find another survivor, but says there might not be any to begin with. A blue energy starts to envelop his sword. He raises it screaming and then attacks the centipede's corpse, creating a giant shockwave. The corpse completely vanishes, and Jay is puzzled, wondering where the hell it just went. We see a golden light as there is a clock. He picks it up, wondering if this came from the centipede, saying he's never heard of a monster dropping items before. After he picks it up, the clock says verification, and starts the talk about initiating an emergency procedure. The clock tells him to select a date, and he is confused what it's yapping about. It keeps asking him if he would like to execute, as it's failing to initiate protocol. He wonders what it needs a date for and what it's trying to do. The clock continues. Annoyed, he asks what the hell it wants. Then it starts to give warnings, as a giant shadow looms over him. He turns, wondering if it's another centipede, but realizes that this is much stronger, as the energy is more overwhelming than the centipedes. We see a giant hand on one of the skyscrapers, as the clock tells him that he has a 0% chance of survival. In a panic, he tells the clock to execute whatever protocol it's going on about. It bugs out, trying to confirm his identity, and says identity blank confirmed, and then initiates the emergency protocol, and then goes to check his verification, as he sees the giant creature come out from seemingly nowhere. The clock continues bugging out with the verification and says failure blank to execute the savior. Then checks his qualifications, saying that he is ineligible. Jay looks up at the monster, making eye contact with it, wondering if running away is even possible from this. The clock continues, initiating the final sequence. It confirms his eligibility. He realizes that escaping from this thing won't be possible. The clock says blank possibility verified. The world is bound for destruction, calling him the final survivor. Jay yells, saying he doesn't care and just to get him out of here. It confirms his desperate order, saying that it's moving him to a random time. He hears faint voices as they call out to him, and a woman yells, saying to wake up. He catches her hand before she slaps him. She apologizes, saying that he wouldn't wake up regardless of what they did. We see a bunch of students, and he sits up, confused about what's going on. The girl says that they assume he's a hunter because he has a sword. He is confused, saying that the whole world has been destroyed, and wonders where he is, curious as to why they have the Hunter Academy's old uniform on. We see the girl who woke him up is named Yuhyun. He glances around the room, spotting that the date is 2024, and is shocked as this is 20 years in the past. One of the students angrily calls out to him. We learn his name is Yoon Wook, and he tells his friend to let go of him. Jay recognizes the name and looks over. Yoon Wook tells him that they don't have time for him to lock in. A roar cuts him off. Jay quickly jumps off from the floor and heads over to the window. He looks down, wondering why of all the years it would take him here, as a black buffalo herd is seen below the window. He says that of the 46 people in this building, only 5 will live. Jay begins to wonder what's going on. He starts to recall everything that's led up to this moment. All of the corpses, Joan dying, Hong's death, along with the mysterious clock from the centipede. He wonders if he's really returned to the past. He says he published a paper about dungeon breaks as an undergrad, so he understands it well. He explains how right before the development of magic measurement devices, they were managed manually. There was a dungeon in the middle of Seoul that was managed well, but still, dungeons were unpredictable. One day it was calm, the next day it could explode. He explains how there was a guild that didn't want to lose out on an S-rank dungeon, and they falsely reported it as a B rank. It ended up breaking, and there were a ton of casualties because the guild responsible for it lied about the rating. The nearby high schoolers who were training to become hunters tried to protect the civilians, but since they were just students, they weren't able to handle the dungeon break. So there were only 2 students who survived and 3 civilians. This is the incident that he is currently a part of now. He realizes that he still has June's sword in his hand, so he's time traveled rather than regressing. He's confident in escaping the situation alone, but he doesn't want to leave the students behind. He asks them how long it has been since the dungeon broke, and they're confused. He asks them if they haven't learned about dungeon breaks yet. Hyun says that they came here to learn about them today. He says they better start learning then, and ask when it broke. One of the other girls says that it was about 4 hours ago. Jay tells her he doesn't need abouts, he needs exact numbers. Hyun tells him it has been 3 hours and 50 minutes, and that they lost communication 2 hours ago, but they did hear that there were hunters preparing to attack the boss. Jay says that Hong was a part of this attack team, and he blamed himself for only attacking the boss without noticing the students, so he won't let that happen again. Hyunwook says not to be rude, but wonders who Jae is. He asks how they're meant to trust somebody that they don't even know, asking if he has a hunter license, and to show it to him. Jae tells him that he lost it, but the real reason is because his license says 2031, so he can't whip it out. He says now that he thinks about it, he has no form of identification here, so he can't even go check out the dungeon if he managed to get out. He sighs, saying that he just needs to prove he's a hunter, and then releases his magic power to show them. Hyunwook says that he believes he's a hunter, and some of the other civilians wonder if they're actually able to escape, and then comments about how there is a student named Lee Sung-jian. He's the youngest child of one of the world's biggest conglomerates, and we see him sitting in the back. Jae recognizes him, saying that he was highly treasured, and after his death, his family helped to maintain the school, establishing the Ability Management Agency, promoting Hong to the agency director. Jae wonders what will happen if Sung-jian lives. He says even if he doesn't have an identity, he'll create a scenario where he has to save Sung-jian from danger, becoming a hero, so they can't criticize him. Then he tells them they'll all be going to the city hall. An older man yells, asking if he's out of his mind, saying how far City Hall is from here. Jae gets annoyed and tells the man to listen, but he thinks to himself about how in the survivor testimony, they brought up this old man and how he didn't listen to the students. So he bluntly asks the man if he wants to die. The old man panicked asks if he's threatening him. Jae tells him to shut up, saying that it'll be hard to even save himself here. But he doesn't want to leave the kids behind. So he will lend a hand. He tells the students that if they want to leave by themselves he will not stop them. But Hyun says that she doesn't want to leave anyone behind. Jae makes sure the old man hears this, and tells the old man that if he doesn't want to help, then to just leave. The old man awkwardly says that's not the case. Jae then says he needs a map asking if anybody knows the area well. A woman tells him that she can draw it fairly well. And then later we see him with the map. He highlights where they are, and where the dungeon is, saying that it's been 2 hours since the raid started. The boss should be driven to where the mountain is, and that the boss is a minotaur. The students panic because a minotaur is an S-ranked monster, and that the mountains are actually pretty close to them. Jae tells him that the buffalo probably followed the boss to the mountain, so the only monsters here would be the buffalo who got separated from the herd. He then draws a circle on the map asking if anybody knows what it is. Hyun tells him that it is the outer part of the blockade, which is a defense line, so monsters can't spread elsewhere. He says that's right, and since City Hall is the headquarters, they just need to get there and they will surely survive. Somebody else suggests they just wait for the boss to be defeated, saying that they should just wait, because once they defeat the boss the dungeon break will end. Jae shakes his head saying that the Minotaur is a dictator. If he says to gather they gather. If he orders them to hunt, they hunt. But even if the boss disappears the monsters won't. They'll just keep loitering around here, and that they'll still be starving. Then asks if there are any more disagreements with the plan. Nobody says anything and he says moving on. Then asks if there are any mages who can draw runes. We see one of the students drawing on Sung-jian's forehead. Jae tells them that monsters are sensitive to mana, so to make sure they draw the runes well. One of the girls says that she's never heard of something like this before. Jae understands since they're runes from the future after all. He explains that when it's on their foreheads it hides mana that's connected to them, but it does not hide mana that's been cast already. He makes sure they all know how to activate the runes, saying that they need to fill their hand with mana and touch the rune. As soon as he leaves to activate them he makes sure to adjust Sung-jian's. To make his mana weaker instead, he tells them that he's going to release his mana now and lure the monsters in a loop around the neighborhood. When he passes by again, they should start running, and then he will send them away, and catch up to them. He leaps out of the window, saying that it's time, and then lands on the floor by the buffaloes. He starts running saying that he wishes he had a cape, so he could be more like a matador. After a bit the students and the teachers head out of the building. Wondering who Jae really is. Glasses, I don't know his name, says that surely he's one of the hunters who came to raid the dungeon, since he knew about the boss. The girl says that it's possible as he is a knower. Hyun suggests that he probably tripped while driving the boss away from the city. Sung-jian says if he fainted while doing that, isn't he low-key ass, but they remind him that the boss is a minotaur. Hyun says the only thing they can do right now is trust him, as he did manage to lure the monsters away. The old man calls out to all the students, saying that he's ready to run with them, and tells them to all be careful. As they talk, Glasses tell them that he's on his way. We see Jae hauling absolute cheeks as the buffalo are hot on his ass. He swings his sword, doing what I assume is concealing his mana. The buffalo all start to slowly walk past him. Hyunwook realizes that it's time to go and they all start to run. As they start to leave, they recall his strategy. The martial arts hunters will take the lead, while mages will cast shields on both sides of them. If there are any stragglers, just block them while Hyunwook takes care of them, and the civilians just need to run for their lives. He got Sung Jian and Hyun to stand in the back, as one of them is a healer and the other is a swordsman. Sung Jian quickly feels breathing down his neck, as he turns to see a buffalo whispering something sweet into his ear. We see the buffalo's head getting kicked to the side as Jay flies in. Sung Jian sees this and Jay turns telling him to run. Sung Jian starts calling out to him but Jay tells him just to run away and he begins to unleash his mana drawing their aggro. It cuts to Jay standing on a rooftop looking down at the buffalo. He wonders where the hell they keep coming from, and sighs saying that it was a struggle getting out of there. He didn't expect it to be so rough. He explains to us how it happened. He leaked his mana on purpose to gather the mobs, then slightly modified Sung Jian's rune to put him in danger. Right before the buffaloes attacked him, he made a sacrificial scene so he would be recognized as a hero. In the end it worked perfectly, but now he doesn't know what to do. He says if he's really time traveled, that means the 10-year-old version of him is still here. He doesn't want it to end up back to the future where he erases himself from changing history. He also brings up how the clock mentioned that the world is guaranteed to be doomed, saying that it must be related to the Bangidong dungeon. Then he realizes something, saying that his mana watch should still work, as long as he supplies it with mana. He starts typing away and seems relieved, after seeing something on the watch. He sees the date saying he wondered why it was so specific. Turns out there was a reason for it. It's the clock telling him to change the fate of this world. He hears a scream which snaps him out of his daydreaming and he looks over to see the Minotaur chasing some hunters down the street. The hunters are complaining about how many mobs there are and say the boss must have called them. Jay says that he should not intervene, as they originally defeated the boss anyways. Also Hong is here and we see him running in. Jay says that all of the legendary hunters have gathered here so it's like a VIP seat. We hear a girl say "here we go," as she speaks enchantment table, shooting out a root wrapping around the boss's foot. Jay recognizes it as the Archmage Kim came in since her magic is unique. He says it was completely lost after her death, but then wonders how exactly she died. He decides he should keep her alive as she will be helpful in the future. He says the dungeon shouldn't break until 20 years from now, also that just having a couple S ranks in the future wasn't enough for the centipede. So if he could spare those that were destined to die like the students it would be beneficial. He needs to find the dungeon where the person who lit Soul on fire is hiding as well. He seems excited with his own plan, saying that it will help to a comfortable retirement. We hear Hong yelling "done," as he slices the leg off of the Minotaur that has been wrapped up by Kaimin. She raises her staff into the air casting another spell, called Eliminating Vines. She slams her staff into the ground and vines start to sprout out wrapping around the Minotaur tying it down. The Minotaur struggles to stay on his 2 feet and grabs onto a nearby building for support. He pushes himself off of the building and swings his hammer forward at the hunters. Jay decides that it's time for him to head out to City Hall. One of the hunters tells Hong to cut the other leg off of the boss. He says bet. Chime-in continues her spell, keeping the boss unable to move, as someone in the back is holding onto the vines like a rope. Bro is on the juice. We see Hong's spear stab into the boss's leg. It groans and falls over as the vines are unable to keep it upright. Jay sees a shadow falling over him as he looks up, to see the boss going as first towards him. Hong looks over and spots Jay behind the Minotaur. One of the other hunters wonder if Jay is a citizen but Hong says he's wielding something. Jay strikes the boss with his blue mana, lighting the boss on fire. Hong and Chai-Min are surprised, as the boss gets burned, turning into charcoal. From behind it, Jay tells everyone to continue what they were doing, paying him no mind. But Hong and Chai-Min wonder who he is. Jay steps out from behind the boss, saying that he's just a simple passerby. It cuts to him inside of the interrogation room and the officer says they took his weapon. But he's still suspicious as he has no form of identification. Hong says that's okay and he has something to ask him. The officer leaves, telling him to be careful. They have an awkward WWE stare down. While laughing, Hong tells him that he cut the camera off so they can talk. He says they should start with their names and he introduces himself. Jay says it's still surreal to see him so young. He wonders if Hong will save him a year from now, then adopt him 2 years after. Jay tells him his name. Hong slides a piece of paper forward asking if he knows what this is. Jay is surprised, saying that it's the drawing that covered the laboratory walls. Hong could tell from his reaction that he understood what it was and then laughs, saying he just wants to talk. Hong asks Jae if he was nervous. Jae is just confused, asking if he's that easy to read. Hong nods, saying that if things went according to plan, they would have met in a better situation. And says that he made it out safe, exactly like he heard from the blue mana, fire, and the sword. Jae is confused, asking if he had a stroke. Hong then tells Jae that he is the teacher that Kim was talking about. Jae wonders if he's mistaking him for a whistleblower from the lab. Hong tells him that he was worried since they lost contact, but that he's already agreed to help them escape, so he had prepared an identity for them on this side. While he starts talking about it, Jae says this is a very good opportunity for him to get an actual identity. Hong says that he will call him Jae from now on. Jae realizes that he's not actually lying since he is from the laboratory and an insider, so he will be able to cover pretty well. Hong tells him that he will be working under him. Jae asks if it's for surveillance. Hong tells him that he can think of it that way. Then stretches his hand out, saying he looks forward to working with him. Jae thinks about how he ended up working under Hong again, saying that he is not his foster father or the agency director, but rather, just a hunter now. It cuts to a week later and Jae is visibly annoyed. Hong asks him how his stay has been, asking if it has been okay. Jae says there's no way it would be fine when he's been stuck here for a week. Hong laughs, saying that he visits him every day though, so surely it's fine. Jae shows that he has a glorified prison anklet on his foot. Hong says that he should try to see the positive side. He managed to escape and now he's free. He said that there was a lot he wanted to do. Jae says that he's the one who wanted to do it and calls him Mr. Hong tells him to call him uncle instead, then ask him if he remembers the 5 students that he saved. Then tells him that they are actually his students. He says he also heard that he's the one who baited the buffalo away and they were able to easily dispatch them, since they were grouped up, or else the damage could have been worse. Jae says that he's gotten it wrong but he doesn't want to correct him. Hong says that all that matters was the results were good and the kids are safe as well, thanking him. Jae starts feeling himself, saying it was nothing. Hong then says that he was thinking about something. Jae realizes that him thinking is not a good thing. Hong says that he knows the skill level of his students the best, so it would have been difficult for them to save even themselves, but Jae also saved them and the citizens. So everyone would have died if it had not been for him. Hong says that all the kids were crying, begging him to find Jae, so he puts some thought into it. Jae says he thinks way too damn much. Hong puts an employment form on the table, saying to teach them, as it'll be too conspicuous if he follows him around the dungeons. But if he works as a teacher it'll be a good cover. Jae thinks about teaching the kids, saying that he understands how deep the bond is between a disciple and their master, and that there were several people including June who consider Hong their teacher. It would be a good thing to create a strong connection with them, securing his future, also to help save the world. But he doesn't want to reveal that thought right now. He asks Hong why he would teach the kids when he can't use mana, saying that Mr. would be a better candidate. Hong corrects him, saying uncle. Jae says my bad. Hong laughs, saying that it would be easy to teach them how to fight but the problem is magic. Then says regarding the runes that hide mana. Then asks if he made them himself. Jae says he should have just kept quiet, asking if he's meant to teach the kids about runes. Hong says it doesn't matter whether or not he made them, he just needs to teach the kids about them. Jae says he thought he was going to teach them how to raid dungeons, but it would be too suspicious for an illegal awakened to know a lot about them. They then have an ace attorney court battle, about how runes are not magic, and how Jae's not suited for teaching. But Hong says that he knows he will fit right in. Jae wonders if he should just say he made the runes and get them patented, but decides that would be immoral. Then second guesses himself, saying that if he spreads the knowledge of them, he can save more people. Hong starts laughing, saying that he can tell he is deep in thought, but knows he is going to do it anyways. Jae sighs, saying that it's for the kids. He looks down at the paper while Hong explains that he will be listed as a guild member, but since he is not doing raids there are no other incentives. So he just gets paid his base monthly salary of minimum wage. Jae double checks the paper, while Hong laughs, saying that he'll just be getting 93% of that during his probationary period. Also, they don't have vacation since it's less than 5 people, but they still take off public holidays. Jae curls up the paper, saying this is a damn scam. It jumps again to 2 days later, and we see them in a van. Hong compliments the sword, saying that it recognizes the owner, asking if it's his. Jae replies, saying that it's somebody else's. Hong asks if he stole it, but Jae says if he did, he would have been burned. Hong says that makes sense. Jae says that the sword actually used to hate him, but it understands that June gave it to him before dying. Hong asks Jae if he's mad that he didn't return it to him. Jae says no, he wouldn't have been able to use it anyways, because of his anklet. They banter a little bit. Hong smiles, saying that his school does not allow blades anyways, so he can't use it either. Also, his classes won't require weapons. Jae says he could also just be blunt about not wanting a suspicious man to have a weapon around his students. Hong asks why he's so pessimistic. Jae sighs, looking out the window, saying he didn't deny it, then is completely taken aback, as they are going into the mountains. Jae wonders if he's going to be taken out back and executed. Hong tells him that this area is restricted from development due to nearby dungeons, but that is what makes it perfect for raising hunters. The van comes to a stop, as we see what can only be described as Minecraft starter houses. Hong says it's just a bit shoddy. Jae says that shoddy is an overstatement. This is straight ass. Jae asks him if he has to stay here for a year. Hong's eyes sparkle like a magical girl's, as he says, every journey starts with the first step. Then he laughs at his own joke, welcoming him to Hunter High School. In one of the rooms, Hong tells everybody that Jae will be teaching them about runes. Hong says surely some of them recognize him, saying not to be mean to him. Yun Wook raises his hand, saying that he remembers Jae using a sword rather than magic. Hong says that you don't have to be a mage to use runes. It was hard to get him to be a teacher, and this is what they agreed upon. Glasses ask him if they are going to learn the mana hiding runes, or if it will be new ones. Hong says that it will be the new ones. And he should be of great help to them. So to pay attention to his lessons. Glasses says surely it's not okay for him to teach this stuff. Hong says if it wasn't, he would not be teaching here, asking if he does not want to learn about runes. Glasses says he does, since he finds them awesome. The entire time, Sung Jian has been going pog crazy. One of the students asks Hong if only mages can participate in the lesson. Hong says no, but they can choose if they want to take his lesson or not. Sung Jian finally asks if Jae was hurt from back then or not, saying that he was really worried about him. Hyun also says she was worried. All of the students that were there say they asked Hong about it, but he would not tell them anything. They all were worried about him. Jae says that all of these kids are so wholesome, and they are so different from how they will be in the future. And how in the future, one of these kids will be stabbed in the back and left for dead inside of a dungeon. Then he is shocked, wondering what is wrong with Park Seon, saying that she was normal last time he saw her. And it has only been 10 days since the incident. So how did she become the witch Seon that he knows? It flashbacks to Glasses telling Seon to look at the rune he drew. She tells him that she doesn't think there should be a line this long, and he says she's right. He corrects it, saying it is hard for him, but she makes it seem easy. She says that her grandpa taught her when she was young, then gets him to draw Yun Wook's, and she will draw Sung Jian's. Glasses says that he can do it if she is tired. But she proudly tells him not to worry as she has more experience being a mage, and they will need him to shield for them later on. It turns out that her grandfather used to say that arrogance ruins everything. She thinks that the rune she drew on Sung Jian did not work. Her grandpa's words start to echo through her head, drowning out everybody's voices. Which is what led to her drastic personality shift. If you've watched till the end, comment, Alfredo, to let me know. Subscribe for more videos like this, leave a like or a comment to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.